Welcome, Georg and Sophie. We're at the Innovation Summit and we're talking about sustainability. Maybe talk about, from your perspective, different organization, Schneider Electric, Wilo, how does this competitive advantage?
You mean sustainability?
Yes.
Absolutely. But I should not ask first or answer first. Ladies is first.
Well, sustainability is having a big impact for business overall. I would say two main categories of impact. First, it has a very positive impact on our bottom line for all our traditional business, and that's something that I see with all the customers I'm talking with. Second, it has created opportunities for new business. New business are emerging thanks to sustainability, so it's both helping on the profitability and on growing the top line, so we love it.
So now you have a customer here, so let's hear it from the customer perspective.
Well, I think, first of all, sustainability should not be only a driver for profitability. We believe that profitability will come after sustainability. So therefore we decided in the company, in the board of management, that sustainability will be the overarching strategy for the corporate endeavor, let's say. So then basically we believe, and we see the first signals of that one, that sustainability pays off. You see it in certain tenders, you see a growing interest of it, and I see customers who are definitely asking for it, and secondly than price or whatever. Yeah, so I think there is definitely a need for that one.
Got it. Now, Georg, from your perspective, IIoT, what is the role that plays in your own organization?
Yeah, well, IoT is very important because when you go through the sequence, what happened in the last decades, then we first did the electrification, then the electronification, then the digitalization, and then basically in the area of digitalization, also IoT and remote monitoring, prediction, and now on top of that one, we're talking artificial intelligence, which might be another game changer in this whole setup. And all is good for energy saving.
Now, I want to double click on that a little bit,
Yes.
but before we do that, I want to also bring Sophie in around maybe talk about the critical role that industrial water and circularity plays.
Yeah. So indeed, water is used a lot by industries. Industries account overall for 20% of the water, of the fresh water used. It's the double of the water we use for urban use. So it is significant, and this water has a big carbon footprint for those industrial. So there are very high stakes on how to minimize the amount of water you use and how to reuse this amount. And to do that, to rebound on your previous question on IIoT, to improve something, first you need to know what you're up against. So monitoring, getting real-time data, this is where IIoT is a game changer. You can optimize looking at your water bill at the end of the year. You are a year too late. So first, measuring on a more regular basis, real time, okay, we can talk once a second, even once per day is much better than nothing. So looking at your data, and then we can use automation in the broader sense of it to analyze those data, identify patterns, and make recommendations on how to optimize. So IIoT is unlocking that. You get data from the plant floor, and that's a big game changer.
Got it. Now, I know Schneider offers the monitoring tools and data insights. Wilo offers the pumps. Talk about, maybe give us a sense as to how many of your pumps, percentage-wise, are, or what do you see that going with IoT-enabled or software-enabled pumps?
Yeah. Basically, since many years, every pump what we put to the market has a high level of connectivity. And we first launched in 2001, we launched the first electric controlled pump. Then in 2017, the first smart pump to the world. And probably we will go on like that with the innovation pace. Basically, connectivity is for at least the pumps in the building sector a clear given. There we have probably up to almost 100%, let's say, of the pumps are, connective. Let's say you can then use them in the building automation system. You can use Bluetooth, wireless, whatever you want, let's say, to access the pumps and steer and control the pumps. Right. When we look then to remote monitoring and steering, that is also what many customers use happily, but the amount of customers which are not using that is still high, let's say, so they have not seen the benefit yet.
Right.
in that, but it's also a bit about standardization in the building. So initiatives who are basically getting into a common system, open system, let's say, are well received, and there Schneider is very active with this universal automation. I think that could be a game changer as well in the building, that the usage of these pumps are being increased.
Right. So let me just get it straight. Buildings, high acceptance, and smart buildings. What about some of the industry that are lagging? Maybe a couple of examples that they could, maybe they're not willing quite yet to pay more for the pump to get that connectivity?
Well, let's say it's the need needs to be there. Let's start with the customer pain and the
Right.
customer wish typically, and not yet we are at that stage that they all asking for that. The technology is there.
Right.
It's attractive. I mean, when you talk about lifetime of a system, definitely you have proof points. But if you just look at the purchasing price in the starting of this
Right.
endeavor, you probably go without this. And that's a bit the systematic issue we see in the market. But that's in many fields like that. And I think we need to overcome that.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's good to have. We have a good example with a project in Indonesia, for example, where we deliver the pumps for a mining project. And Schneider is delivering the drives and the control unit, but also does the remote monitoring. So the customer is super happy about the result, because the uptime is there, energy saving, everything is nice. But that takes a while to get the customers to that level.
And it's a good segue into the next subject, which is energy savings, and we'll get right back to it. But perhaps maybe double click just a little bit, something like a pump that is software enabled, percentage-wise, roughly how much more cost it adds to the
That's hard to say, because you don't calculate a car like that, I guess,
Right.
in the meantime. Or
It's based on a
do
project,
you?
yes.
It's very much, no, it's a standard. I mean, in the buildings, it's a standard that a pump has all the electronics and is
Right.
digitally controlled. When you get out of the buildings and you get to bigger pumps and
Right.
higher levels, is more unique, but also you don't have that built in with the pump. So that is a bit the situation you have in the market then. So that's a different ballgame then.
Yes.
But I would say the percentage of pumps being digitally controlled in this area is rather low, I would say, in the single-digit number probably, I would say. But
Thank you.
building,
Yeah.
almost 100%, I would say.
Thank you for that. Anything else you want to add, Sophie, on that?
I think a very strong evolution in the way we are having conversations with customers around the need for, well, a connected pump.
Yeah.
The person that was traditionally buying the pump doesn't really need a connected pump.
Yep.
Now, if you go and talk to somebody else at that same customer that is in charge of the profitability and for which the electricity bill is very heavy, and that guy is looking for energy efficiency, that guy needs the connected pump, not the pump
Right.
itself, but the fact that it's connected. So it's really about driving the conversation around the need. What we do typically is, well, we have an activity which is consulting on sustainability. When we engage those conversations on how to build the sustainability strategy, there is a first step which is strategize, but the next one is about digitize. And this is where the need for a connected pump will emerge. But you need to have that conversation with the appropriate persona at the customer, and they are not the same. And those collaboration between different departments in the same industry is what is very heterogeneous, customer by customer, let me put it like that. But for those industries where the sustainability strategy is a strong one, we see that driving a need for more connected pump and other digital solutions.
Now, when you look at if you take the European market, for example, and you take just the building market, then with the pumps we bring to the market, we save roughly per year 2 terawatt hours. So this is quite something, I must say.
And how does it translate into the savings dollar sign?
That's hard to say, because you need to ask the customer for that one, what he's paying for that.
Right.
But our driver is CO2 reduction first of all, and these are very competitive pumps. So I think, again, take the example of the car. You don't argue so much about the digitalization of the car. It's there. It's being used. It's good for us as consumers, and that is no issue. This is not an on-top cost, basically.
Right.
It's a standard.
Right, so now maybe give us some examples in how Wilo is saving energy and water by implementing IoT closed loop sort of energy management techniques?
Well, it's not only IoT,
Right.
I must say. So just giving you another number, let's say, or a few numbers.
Sure.
There's 10% of the world electrical energy is being used by pumps. This is a surprise to many people because typically you don't see the pumps somewhere. When you then assume that 80 to 90% of the installed pumps in the world are inefficient because they are old and outdated and not digital anymore, then you see what a huge saving potential we have. I mean, you could calculate it in different ways. There's one calculation saying that even if you would talk the whole world, you could save up to 400 carbon-fired power plants. This is huge. The impact is huge. And therefore, IoT plays a role. It is one of the steps of energy efficiency what you have. And it's not the last one. As I said, I believe in AI. And I could imagine that after the connectivity, internet operability, let's say then we have AI coming into the case, helping us even to find another 10%.
Got it, thank you. Now, Sophie, you mentioned something about consulting services when you approach a customer, does an assessment, which is good, not just implement technology for the sake of technology. What does the customer get? Is an assessment, hey, you're going to save X amount of dollar doing it, and it's going to offset the investment in additional pumps to replace the 90%. Is that?
That's one part of it. And the return on investment is a key driver to facilitate the investment decision. And it's critical to the financial health of that customer. To give you one data point, when I talk to water utilities, energy is 30% of their OPEX. So 30% of the run cost is energy. If we can save, and we can save up to 30% of energy combining different technologies, that's overall 10% of the cost. That's huge. So what's at stake is huge, and 10% of the cost, this is how we then calculate the return on investment, and this is an important calculation to make. Then there are different financing models, and more we see solutions being sold as a service, instead of being sold as an initial investment, and that's it. And those new business models are helping as well the transition to new solutions.
Got it. Thank you both. And if you have questions in the audience for Sophie or George, feel free to leverage the hashtag and we'll get the questions answered.